Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to implement the Azure Service Bus in my pet project. Let's check out my setup. This is the same setup from previous videos. In this setup I have one application with a front end and a Blazor WebAssembly with some shared components, Blazor components, doing HTTP calls to an API, which communicates with the database and back to the front end. Then I have another app, Pet Social, which is similar but with different features. And then I have two Blazor WebAssembly projects that use components from both apps. In a recent video where I implemented single sign-on for my use case, I dragged out everything related to identity framework, so authentication and authorization, but also a few other things, metrics, so some kind of anonymous analytics, sorry, and transactions, which are, in my case, payments. Since those tables were quite general, not app specific, but yet this application had the user tables, role tables, transaction tables, and metrics tables, but this database also had the user tables, roles tables, transaction tables, metrics tables, and there was no point in keeping, I moved those out to its own database with its own API and its own shared Blazor components, which responsibility is to authenticate, authorize, create metrics and transactions. Both applications have a feature to do payments, so in-app purchases, and will trigger a payment flow from the front end then to this API. Actually, the front end will have a user interface to make a payment that will communicate with an external service, a payment service like Molly or Stripe. Molly or Stripe will handle that payment. So once that payment is completed, like paid or cancelled, this external service will do a HTTP post request to an endpoint on this utils API. When that happens, a record should be created in either this database or this database, depending on which application triggered the payment flow. And I would like to do that without crossing boundaries, so to speak. So I don't want this utils API to post to this API to create a record in the database, or this one to post to this API to create a record in the database. I also don't want this utils API to directly access either of these databases. So we'll have to find another way. And I think messaging using the Azure Service Bus will be a good solution. Okay, let me quickly show you the payment flow. So this is a front-end application, Blazor WebAssembly application. In here you can do an in-app purchase by clicking the purple button. For this is in test mode, so nothing is gonna actually happen. Spotlight, if I click on that, it redirected me outside of the app to the external payment service, which is Molly. It could also be Stripe or something, whatever you choose. Then I choose the payment method, bank contact. So just bank card stuff. And it tells me this is in test mode, so nothing is going to actually happen, but I can mock the status. So I can say it's paid and continue. Since I'm on localhost, it's not actually going to work, since that needs to have a publicly available URL post endpoint, which I am not running at the moment. Oof, what's this? Anyway, it redirected me because I passed a redirect URL back to the application, telling me that it worked and all that stuff. So normally that payment status would have been posted to this post webhook endpoint, posted by, so this Molly service to this webhook, which would then update a record in my date in the utils database. So sorry, this is the utils API. Would update a record in the utils database, just the transaction that it's the status of the transaction. Let's see if I can show you. Let's see. So it's still open because it couldn't post the status of paid to my endpoint since that wasn't publicly available at the time. Anyway, this is just telling me about payment, nothing app specific. And what then needs to happen once that payment was paid, it should create, and of course the transaction record was created. So this one with the transaction ID. Then a record in the pet adopt database should be created with that transaction ID. So, and since we don't have a user interaction at that point, so it's posting from the external payment service to the utils API, which interacts with the database, and then, yeah, we can't really tell this pet adopt application that we then need to create a record for the transaction. We can't really do that, so we need something external to accomplish that. Let's take a look at. So now this for the whole. So this external payment service would post to the utils API, creates a transaction in this database transaction, so a payment record, and should then post that information, so that transaction ID, to the message broker, and then this background worker service should be subscribed to that message broker and process, do whatever needs to be done with the information that is stored in that specific message. If everything happens correctly, it would create a new record in this database. with the transaction ID that was stored in here. So that was all for the use case. Let's now head over to implementing this part. Let's maybe first go over the sources that I use. So you have the Microsoft Docs, get started with Azure Service Bus topics and subscriptions. Then I found this one, samples for .NET, Service Bus samples, and clicked on sending and receiving messages and using the processor. I have these open. That's the first one, and then the processor, the second one. And I'm also using this video from Nick Chapsas, who it goes a little bit more in depth about these, what you can do with Service Bus and how to implement them. But it's a video from 2 years old, so I'm going to try to mix and match these samples with the video code. So this says topics and subscriptions. I didn't talk about that yet. So what I want is this API to publish or send a message to a specific topic. And then I want 2 subscriptions on that topic, one for this application and another one for that application. And on those subscriptions, I even need a filter. A filter could simply be a message type, for example, and I would set the message type to either the task name, or in my case, I'm going to use which application has to handle that message. Because otherwise, without the filter, both of these could handle that message. And yeah, I don't want this one to handle that message. And I definitely don't want this one to handle the message. And then this one can't handle the message. That's not what I want. So let's head over to Azure. And let's start by using that, creating that service bus. Let's see. Okay, that was weird. Let's try it differently. Going to all services, whoops, integration, and service bus. And let's create one. Let's see if I can just, that messaging or something. Okay, West Europe for me. Oof. Okay, pricing. I would love to use the cheapest one, but I need the topics and subscriptions, so I'll need the standard one. It's a lot of operations. Yeah, don't think I'll have that anytime soon. Let's review and create. I don't know about this local authentication, but Okay, once created, we can go to the resource. And important here is I don't want a queue, since that's just going to, it's just gonna publish to a queue all messages, and a consumer would then consume all messages. So I want to have it have a little more control. So I'm going to create a topic, and I'm going to give it the name of the. No, this is actually just a general name, so I'm just gonna call it pet. Okay. Let's see. And here, entities, topics. Let's click that one. Now I'm going to add 2 subscriptions. One for each application, actually for each worker. Name, but adopt. I'm going to start with this one. I don't need a second one yet. Max delivery count. I'm going to set this at 5. This is basically the retry count. So if it failed after 5 times, it's going to move the message elsewhere to some kind of on the side. It's named a dead letter queue, which you can then manually manage what to do with the messages. I'm not going to enable anything else. This is on message expiration that it would put it in the dead letter queue, but not just on failure or whatever. Let's just create it. And now I've got this subscriptions tab with the subscription. And I should add one more thing, I think. That's the filter. Aha, here's the filter. Let's see. A name for the filter. This is actually a little bit confusing. This actually should have been pet adopt or pet social, depending on which project I want to have handled messages. Let me fix that. I'm going to go back to the subscriptions. Maybe just add a pet subscription if I can. Yes. And then delete the previous one because pet adopt for the subscription is too specific. So we just have the pet. And there we are going to use the filters pet adopt, correlation filter. You could use a built-in property that's going to be on the messages that you send. But maybe the 2. But let's just add a such type, or worker type or processor type. I haven't thought this through. Let's see. maybe it. So what I want is this API to publish to the topic a message, and then I only want one of those to handle it. So would that be a subscriber and that be a subscriber? Possibly. Or would I have just one subscriber? Subscription, I mean. One subscription that they both subscribe to, and then have a message type on the message saying either being pet adopt or pet social. But then the problem is that all the messages for this pet adopt worker are going to have the message type pet adopt. But the scenario could be that once it has to process a payment, but another time it has to process a, I don't know, a user request or something, sending an email after something. So maybe it makes more sense to have two subscriptions, and then the message type to be like what should happen, like create a payment record, create a contact request or something else. So more like the task. Let's quickly look at the code. So what's actually happening is a payment record is created of type transaction type .spotlight. So could be donation, could be support, but only something has to happen when it's a spotlight. So it would be a good idea to make the message type something like create spotlight, not maybe just spotlight, but let's say another time we have for another use case we need to delete a spotlight or soft delete a spotlight, let's say that. Then that's going to it's going to need to be more specific. So let's quickly go to the utils API and to the features and see what actually does. Feature transaction, which has the payment. This creates the initial payment record in the database with a status of pending, I think. And then once that payment got processed by the payment service, like Molly, the external one, it's going to post to our API, and that's to update the transaction status. So when this is done, it should actually publish a message to Azure Service Bus to say that it's either paid or cancelled, maybe only when it's paid. You could actually already say, oh, what's this? If it's paid and it has the transaction type of Spotlight, only then send a message. It's also possible. Okay, let's see where that happens. Transactions controller. So this webhook endpoint So if the status is not paid, we should do nothing. If the status is paid, we should publish a message. Let's see if I can have the status. I need the metadata and then the type. Anyway, let's see in a bit how we'll solve that. So, where were we? Message type. Just call it create spotlight. And save. We have to start over again. So this name of the filter should have actually have been create spotlight. And the subscription should have been pet adopt 5 create. Then we have the pet adopt and create the filter there to create spotlight. If we type that correctly, message type or task, or we could call it handler or something. Let's just roll with it, create a spotlight, save changes. And then if we would ever need to, we could say add another filter for delete spotlight or something else. Sorry for the confusion. I was a bit confused myself with the subscriptions. I initially thought I could just have like 2 topics to make the distinction, like one topic pet adopt and one pet social. But the thing is, when you just create a topic without a subscription, the messages get automatically deleted or something. Yeah, without a subscription. Also, I would then have one topic with just one subscription. Just a one-on-one. Maybe it's possible, but let's just do it this way. Let me know if you, think I should make 2 topics or do it differently. Feel free to comment. This is all quite new for me as well. I've used Google Cloud's PubSub and Amazon's SNS or something, or SQS. And then some simple MQTT setups, but that's been a while. So I think now we have everything to just start coding. To start coding, however, we need a NuGet package, which is this Azure Messaging Service Bus. And I'm going to do that in a new class library. So because the utils needs to access it, the pet adopt project needs to access it, that code, and the pet social needs to access that code. So those two would be subscribers, and the utils will be a publisher or producer or sender. And those, yeah, the terminology is a bit, you could have either sender, receiver, producer, consumer, publisher, subscriber, whatever, it's all the same, whatever name you like. And then also you have sender, processor. Processor is something else. Let's stick with sender and receiver since that is, or since that's like the examples. I'm going to add a new class library, call it libs dot, oops, libs dot messaging, yeah. And do like I always do, rename this to configure services. Maybe I shouldn't bore you with this repetitive setup. Let's first maybe add the NuGet package. Would be this one, I think. This one seems to be deprecated, so don't bother. But I think that's also the one used in videos of 2 years ago. So anyway, I'm gonna copy the configuration from this library. These and also add this. I'm gonna call this add messaging, but maybe I'll have to make a distinction between sender and receiver or something. I don't need these. Okay, I will need the configuration in a bit. I'm going to make my folders that I usually do config for the app settings stuff. Services gonna contain the sender and receiver and the interfaces. Might not be necessary, the interfaces, but okay. I'm also going to add a README. Not the best explanation, but alright. Let's take a look at the code. This seems a bit much with message batches for large messages. Let's just check out the app settings that we'll need. So in connection string and a topic name. No subscription name. So the config. Basically sender config. Let's do messaging config. Just topic name. Oops. Let's make this abstract. Add a class, sender config. What am I doing? It probably only needs the topic name. Let's not do anything special here. Probably need a subscription name as well. And let's configure this one. Oops, that is messaging. And then we could just have a sender, but I'm gonna sender service, send service, sender service. Just call it like that. It's a stupid name, I know. Apparently you can just register these as singletons, since I'm gonna provide the config in here, which was read-only messaging config. And there should be options. And then config.value. So now we can, if we need, I'm doing things I probably don't need, even if we need to exit the config. Anyway, let me head over to my utils API development settings. Hope there's nothing in here that you shouldn't see. I see this one should go. I think the topic name was pet. If that's enough, I don't know. Sub. Yeah, that's the thing. The publishing project doesn't need to know about the subscription. So let's keep it like that. And here, then we might have to. I hope to do this in under 2 hours. We already crossed it, and I'm only not even halfway. I'm just going to follow these docs, this documentation. I'm seeing using statements. No using statements in here. Oh yeah, in here. Oops. Since I'm not sure the video I was following of Nick Chapsas, it's a great video, but I think it's outdated. It's using the old package, the deprecated package, and he can use interfaces like IQ client, iTopic client, which does a lot. I mean, just provides some structure. And based on those, he can add those services as singleton, or anyway, configure these client and the sender by adding those as singleton. Let's try it. I don't think it's possible. If I were to do iTopic client something, no, must have been from the deprecated package or something. RabbitMQ, no, can't follow the video, unfortunately. Yeah, that's what I thought. So if I search this topic client in the NuGet manager, it shows me this deprecated package, which is used in the video of Nick. So we can't use that. Following the docs. Let's see. Service bus client. Sender. Oops, actually. Oop. Let's see. Client equals new service bus client. And this one's connection string and options. This connection string can be found in this options. Not sure if we need the options. Let's keep it like that. And sender would be new service bus sender, which wants the client and the queue or topic name in our case. So let's do client and topic name. It's not actually a constructor. It's client.create sender and then topic name. Let's just keep it simple and make one send method, not handle those batch messages. What would it be? Task send. This could be T. Maybe something like this. Just gonna call it message, but this is basically some kind of class object. And then the only thing this would do is send a message, but this message needs to be, let's just try it, service bus message. What does it want? Could basically be binary data or string. So maybe we have to serialize it to a JSON string. What may call this just like data or message body. Just call it data. JSON serializer. Serialize data. Just like that. Maybe try catch it or something. I don't know. No. If it fails, it should. Yeah, this serialization could fail maybe. If it fails to send a message, what happens then? No idea. Maybe I should try catch it. But let's try catch it in the project where I called this one. Would be better. Let's see if we can add this message type, right? Application properties. You see all these standard ones that you saw in Azure as well. Correlation ID content type, apply to. And I guess we need this one. And set a message type. Oops. Equal to create spotlight. That should probably come from the should be that, I guess, from a variable. What's this mess? What's happening? Oops. My hands are getting cold since it's late. Okay, that's all we need for now, I think. Have we added this singleton? Yeah. I would probably call this one add sender or something. We'll probably make another one for the receiver, but then with the other service. But I forgot something, and that's these connection string I can find in Probably somewhere in here. Seems to be in the shared access policies, and then on the right hand side, on the topic, in the resource, shared access policies, and then this one. I'm not going to show you. I'm just gonna copy and paste it in my app settings. Okay, I'm going to try to send a message to the topic using this newly created library by going to the API in my program. I'm going to add builder services dot add messaging sender. Would be strange if it works from the first time. And then in my API controller, I kind of need to implement it here. So getting rid of this one. Read only I sender service. Maybe I should have called it messaging sender or something. Anyway, and then I should I await this sender service? I would say existing. No. Should I send the whole thing? Not really, right? Just the metadata, and then, whoops, message type would be, I'll have to find a better way to prevent typos and all that stuff. Use a type somewhere, a string or something. Let me see what's inside this metadata. So entity ID, entity type, and tracking entity. Yeah, maybe that's a bit too much. I actually just need the entity IDs and stuff. However, yeah, I'll need everything to create that spotlight, but not the whole transaction, just the metadata. But that's specific to my use case, of course. To run the entire flow, I'll need to be able to expose this webhook endpoint. I'll do that by using ngrok. Let's see. And there's something like this, but port is 3004 for my API, and this exposes that endpoint. See, okay, that's okay. Swagger. I used the wrong port. It was 305. Let's do it again on 305. That's better. So yeah, the Swagger one. I'm gonna copy this to my app settings because I need it for the webhook. Not gonna show that. Okay, I have to run my other projects. Let me close that. Let's see if we can complete this payment flow in test mode. Set the status to paid. Got triple dashes here. And now it should post to this webhook endpoint. And it did. Reference ID, status paid, method bank contact. So that worked. And now we should see if we actually sent that message. Nothing crashed. That's a good start, maybe, or suspicious. Let's check out this Service Bus Explorer. And we should make sure we're on peak mode so we don't actually receive the message or something, or read the message. And we've got nothing. Maybe we have to go on some kind of subscriber. Oh, message count 1. That seems good. Let's go to the Service Bus Explorer in here. I should be in peak mode. And we have one message which contains the transaction data, metadata, sorry. I see we have the spotlight type in here, that's transaction type, not the message type. So I think it's safe to say that we can start creating the receiver. This message type is here in the custom properties. I forgot to include the transaction ID. I think, but maybe I don't need it. It would be good to keep the reference to the transaction ID for. No, I don't think I want to send the entire transaction, but let's do that. This makes our first message not usable, but let's start creating the receiver. And the receiver should be implemented in my pet adopt worker, probably. Let's create a receiver. Receiver service. I'm quickly going to let's have constructor and these sort of the sender should be receiver. Yes. Just copy over the options in here. No. Options. And then receiver should be client dot it needs the queue name or the subscription name, I think. I hope. And then I'll just have a public facing task receive, and it should probably return something. What this does is wait for the message, receive message async. The body is what we need. That seems to be binary data. Oops. Maybe we can map that to something like a class, like just a message body or something. But we don't really, yeah, it can be anything probably. But we could, if I'm not mistaken, this should be this should actually be the JSON stringified data that we serialized in here. So we can probably deserialize that into a class. Think. Oops. Let's see. Something like this. Let's see. Seems to be nullable or something. And let's register that thing, but in another what am I doing? Yep. Like this. And next up is filling the app settings of the receiver project. The receiver project is gonna be my pet.worker, I think. So I'm going to fill up those app settings. It's going to have that messaging config, but with the topic name, the connection string, and also the subscription name this time. Let me check out the subscription name. But adopt. Let me paste it in the app settings of my worker file. I'm going to add a new service in my this one should handle the subscribe to the topic and handle the create the database records according to the incoming message data. Let's quickly make this one. You probably shouldn't film everything. Spotlight service. Maybe I should give it a name more indicative of processing messages. But anyway, Spotlight service, because maybe it could do more than just handle Spotlight messages. Also, yeah, also other messages related to this application. Oops. What's happening here? Accidentally. Ah, no. Stop fucking doing that. Let's have add that one in the I've got a feeling that I won't be able to just do this in my worker, register that receiver. Let's see. Let's first add the receiver. First context. Reference the project. Don't think. I might have to add it like I did here. Scope maybe. Don't really need to be scoped, but let's see. Guess its for body is await Azure service. I can't do anything because the interface is empty. Let's see. And now it should be, I'm not going to use the entity. Probably need the ID. Should be more or less the same as the entity. Let's double check. The description kind of depends on what I need from my spotlight. So if that would work fine, which I doubt, I should now be able to do. Yeah, I do need that context. Oops. Context. If all goes well, I could do this. Something like this should be happening. So creating a spotlight with this transaction data, if everything goes well. At this point, we don't have the message type, but we should only end up here when the message type is create spotlight. I think, let me think. I do wonder now how we are going to make sure the filter is applied, the message type. It's not specified anywhere, I think. Or is the subscription only going to handle with that one filter? That shouldn't be the case. Because I should be able to handle multiple filters, and let's have a look. It seems to not find my subscription name. I probably forgot to add a topic name and the create receiver. Apparently you need both topic name and subscription name. I think this is the scoped problem. Let's see. Going to add it, and then instead of injecting, like that. And it keeps failing. At least it's getting here. Line 23. It means it's receiving something. But it's probably complaining because I tried to access the metadata while this message was incorrect. It was, which one? Whoops, 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 whoops. Anyway, let's see what's happening, what's coming through. So yeah, it's just wrongly formatted. So the metadata instead of the rest. So just to mock this, I could, just to handle this wrong message, I could do this. Let's go with metadata. And this transaction ID is not included. Let's see. So then we successfully have our message. And the record should be created. Let me open up my database, spotlights, and there is a spotlight created. That seems to be today, now, and ends in 48 hours. Success. I'll probably have to do some more work to get it exactly right. I still wonder about that message type. And I wonder if this is gonna keep running. Maybe I should try catch some stuff. But it's pretty amazing that it keeps receiving. It's probably because this worker just stays on. Yeah. The problem now, however, is if something happens in this worker, it shouldn't stop, crash the whole everything. So I'll probably have to, just fix that with a try catch. I do wonder if this message is consumed or if it's still here. Do I have to acknowledge this or something? Seems to be still here. Locked. Does that mean it got read? I'm doing it again. I'm seeing message come in again. So what does that mean? That it created another one, the same duplicate? That's not good. I'll probably have to do something like return new spotlight.id, I would say. No, just gonna say bool does not equal. Let's just say not null, but it's probably gonna be not give.empty or something, and then say there is success. Something if success, we should probably acknowledge it or something. Let's take a look. Let's see what we can do. So we only have let's see what we can do with this client receiver. Let's just see. Should do something like this. Let's move that into a new. We could make something like this, but we need either the message or the log token to actually say we successfully read this, process this message. Let's see, this is called settling a message, so you can either complete it, abandon it, defer it, dead letter it to the dead letter queue for manual intervention, or renew the lock and complete it. We need this completion, but we need this message object, of course, to complete it. And we don't have that in our receiver. I don't think it's wise to keep a public property holding a message or something to access it in our worker, in our Spotlight service. We could maybe break our service up. Okay, this might be a better fit. So we receive the message as a whole in its entirety, then we have a parse message body that basically does JSON serialization, and then we can complete it when everything went fine. And then this one just does that. So see message, just like message, and then um, oops. And then write complete message like that. What should we do if it fails? I guess nothing. Let it try again and again and again. Maybe defer, I don't know. But I think that will be all. Let's just rerun it and try. This seems like it ended up in the dead letter queue. Might have max delivery count exceeded 5 delivery attempts. Okay, so it failed after 5 times, but that's good. So now we should actually be able to handle it manually. Maybe just on this. It's resending. Oh, it's not running. Hurry up. Okay, seems like we hit the breakpoint. Let's have a look. Message is okay. It's an early breakpoint. Message has a lot of things. The lock token is settled. Message ID. Let's see. Transaction should be filled. Seems good. Success is true. So we created another one. And should be red. I hope. Delivery count. We've got another record. It seems like it's still there. Let's see if it keeps making records. Yeah, made another one. Now it seems to have stopped. Yeah, okay. Looks like we read all the messages. We probably under that letter, I think I clicked twice or something with the resend. So that's good to know. So if we do it once, let's see. Still running. Might have to rerun. Yeah, that would be annoying. Seems like my worker runs every hour or something. That's not frequent enough to handle messages, I think. Normally, once on Azure, it's run. These bots recycle every 10 minutes, so that should be okay, I guess. Unless unless it tries 5 times within 10 minutes. Let's see if I can change that setting. But it did read the message again for restarting my background service worker. And now this dead letter thingy should, maybe we can delete it, something. Anyway, lots of things to still experiment with, and maybe once I'll make a shorter video or a more in-depth video. I mean, shorter and more insightful video. But until then,